Yes, I'm Batman.
I'm Batman. I'm Batman, Alfred.
I'm Batman.
I am Batman.
I'm Batman. I'm Batman.
Greetings, Bat Family, and welcome back to Holy BatCast, brought to you by Real Fans for Real Movies. Please visit our website, holybatcast.com. It is your one-stop shop for all things Holy BatCast. You can also find us all over social media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search for Holy BatCast and you will find us. And if you're a big fan of the show, want to help support the show, you can do that on Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/holybatcast. And as always, huge thank you to all of our patrons. We could not do it without you. Thank you guys for doing that. We are part of the Real Fans Podcast Network, so if you are looking for other shows to listen to in your spare time, maybe when you're home these days, you can check those out at rf4rm.com. There's a lot of new stuff up there because we all have a lot of time to record podcasts. So if you need the company, check out those shows. We would appreciate it. I am, as always, your host, Andy DiGenova. You can find me on Twitter or on Instagram. It's just my name, Andy DiGenova. In this episode, we are going to just talk about the latest news around DC, mostly about Wonder Woman 1984 and Matt Reeves making some comments about his upcoming The Batman. So that would be fun to chat. And we're going to review not one, but 2 episodes of Batman Beyond. So if you were following along and watching Batman Beyond with us, we're going to do 2 this time because we were like, well, we want to make sure we have enough to talk about. So also make up for those weeks where we skip it. So 2 more. So if you're following along, you can pause right now, go watch those on DC Universe or on your Blu-ray or on your DVD or whatever. Those episodes are Hidden Agenda and Bloodsport. So yeah, and then of course we're going to answer your emails in the Wayne Manor mailbox. Joining us on Easter Sunday, so it's Happy Easter. He's our very own Easter kangaroo. It's Brendan Lowe.
Good morning, how you doing?
Good, Happy Easter.
Happy Easter, everyone. It's nice. It's just after 10 o'clock here on Easter Sunday morning.
Wonderful. Are you hopping around the neighborhood, hiding Easter didgeridoos?
No, I'm not leaving the front yard because we're really not supposed to, unless it's going to the grocery store and things. So
okay, well,
I have had a little bit of chocolate this morning, not as much as wife. She's down to quite a bit of chocolate this morning. She was having her cup of tea before with more Easter eggs, and I said, "Have you had any actual breakfast yet?" And she was just like, "I'd like to say yes."
On Easter, chocolate is breakfast.
Okay.
I think that's fair. I think it's okay. Anyway, we also have a special guest joining us this week. He is one of our patrons, so a part of the extended Bat family. It is a listener and friend of the show, Brett Fry. Hey, Brett.
How's it going?
Welcome to Holy BatCast.
Thank you. It's really a great time, great pleasure to be here.
Well, it is our pleasure to have you, so thanks for joining us. And because it is your first appearance on the show, this is when we have to ask you, as is tradition, tell us a little bit about your Batman fandom. And of course, we want to know, what's your favorite Batman movie and why?
So, my Bat fandom started back with the 89 Burton film. I was born in 87. I have 3 older brothers who were all into Batman as well too. So I kind of always did what they did. So I followed that. But obviously, my favorite Batman movie would be The Dark Knight.
All right. And why? Why Dark Knight?
Well, I mean, Ledger's Joker's, probably one of the best, if to me it is the best version of Joker. And then just how dark it can be, and just I really love that movie.
All right. Nothing wrong with that. It's not that it was a wrong answer. I just like to hear people's reasoning. All right, cool. Well, we're happy to have you, Brett. Thank you for joining us. So let's get into a little bit of news first. So the first thing I want to talk about is Wonder Woman, because it's Holy BatCast, but Wonder Woman, she's part of our family. And we talked a little bit about this when we reviewed Wonder Woman Bloodlines a couple episodes ago. There was a lot of talk about, what's going to happen with the release of Wonder Woman 1984? Is Warner Brothers really going to drop it to streaming? Blah-bitty, blah-bitty. And when we talked about it then, we were like, hey, Warner Brothers does not want to drop it to streaming. Of course they want it to play in theaters, but with the situation that's happening all over the world right now, they just don't know when that can be. And so they were having conversations, like all these studios are having conversations about their slate. But they did announce that they're redating it. Yeah, sure. They're putting a new release date on it of August 14th. And so Patty Jenkins released an official tweet. Gal Gadot released an official tweet being like, hey, this is a movie that was made for the big screen. We want you to see it in the theaters, but not until it's safe. And so we're excited for you guys to see it on August 14th. Hopefully, things will be normal enough by August 14th to check it out in theaters. But it does sort of confirm what we talked about, which is, of course, they want it to come out in theaters. It's the best way to see the movie, and honestly, it's the most profitable way for them to release the movie. So yeah, just thoughts on the change of release date, Brendan?
Let's just hope things are all good by August, because at the moment, I'm not holding my breath to see any of the big movies I've been looking forward to this year in the theater.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. Like, it's an optimistic release date.
Very optimistic.
And I hope that, I hope it is just as things get back to normal and everybody's ready to go back to the theater and ready to see Wonder Woman on the big screen. So fingers crossed, we shall see. Brett, how do you feel about this?
Well, I mean, kind of have to do it with this, unprecedented times that we're in, but I kind of hope it stays on August 14th because that's my wedding anniversary, and so maybe I can talk my wife into going.
Perfect. I love it. It's only a couple days after my birthday, so I'm kind of thinking the same thing. It's like, it's already feels like something of a holiday, so if we get Wonder Woman on the big screen right around your anniversary, my birthday, it's like just an extra bonus.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, it is what it is, and everybody's just trying to adjust as best they can. But, fingers crossed. I hope things that, again, I hope everything will be somewhat back to normal and people will be comfortable going to the theaters. Because, I want to see this opening night on the big screen with a bunch of fans, and I'm excited to see it. It's just sad that we have to keep waiting. What's crazy, though, is that because this was supposed to come out the first week of June, we are now entering what would have been like the big promotional push for the movie.
Yep. It feels really weird.
And so they didn't have time to cancel any of that promotion, or at least some of it they couldn't. And so you're starting to see stuff come out with Wonder Woman on it because, the movie should be coming out in about 2 months. Is it less than 2? Yeah, it'd be less than 2 months by now, right?
Yeah, it's the 12th of April.
Yeah, it's
now.
So 6 or
was it
7
meant to be in
weeks.
June?
I'd have to look. I want to say it was June 4th or whatever that Friday is in the first week of June.
Yeah.
But yeah, so whatever. We're 6 or 7 weeks away from when it was supposed to be released, and so all these deals were made to promote the film coming out in theaters, and you're starting to see them come out. So I've seen people post photos on Twitter of Doritos bags with Wonder Woman on it. And stuff like that, where you're like, this is supposed to be the big push, and yay, Wonder Woman's coming. But it's so sad to be like, well, maybe not. But a big part of that is that Empire magazine, a big movie magazine dedicated to covers to Wonder Woman, and so we got to see those this week. So again, this would be part of that big promotional push for its release. So we got the standard cover, which is actually Diana in her golden armor, and then I guess it's the subscriber cover, which is the classic outfit, and her with she's got the lasso of truth in both photos. But these came out just this week, and so even though we have to wait longer to see the movie, it's still cool to start to get some stuff around the promotional of the movie. So Brett, how do you feel about these covers?
Oh, these covers, I think they're absolutely gorgeous to look at. Just with the colors, and I mean, when I first saw the one with her in the gold, I didn't even recognize that actually was her.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It took me it took me a moment, and I was like, oh yeah, that makes more sense.
Yep. Brendan?
Love them. Love the color palette they seem to be using for the promo of the movie. They're both gorgeous photos, but that subscriber image is just it's amazing. Yeah, thanks to real fan Julian Chan, we've now got versions of them without the writing. So you better believe that's my phone wallpaper at the moment. But yeah, it's. I hear what you're saying with that weird feeling of the promotion coming, because it's kind of a 1-2 punch for me at the moment, because I'm still getting magazines saturated with James Bond stuff, and it's just starting to ease off, and now I'm starting to get it with Wonder Woman stuff, neither of which movies I've got any chance of seeing anytime soon. So yeah, I really hope there's enough time before, say, Ghostbusters and stuff was meant to come out, that we don't start getting that again, because it's just going to be so damn depressing because it's not coming out to March next year now. But yeah, I mean, gorgeous images. I really hope. I am a subscriber to Empire.
Ooh, nice.
But it is weird though, because a lot of their subscriber only covers, it tends to just be for the UK. In the 2 years I've been subscribing to them, I think I've only had 2 covers that have been the subscriber only ones.
Oh,
so
really?
I'm really hoping this is one that I do get that one of. So fingers crossed. But gorgeous image. I mean, she just looks amazing as always.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. Both of the covers are completely awesome, and you're right. Like they have the very bright neon background colors where they're really leaning into the 80s aesthetic, the super bright neon colors, which I think is awesome and perfect. The gold armor looks great, and it really seems like they're selling this look pretty hard for the movie, but I like that not at the expense of the classic look. I like that it seems like there's a balance of the two. Sure, give her a new look for the finale of the movie, sell more action figures, I'll buy one, that's great, but like don't ditch the classic look that's so perfect, and they haven't. So I agree with you. They both look amazing, but for me, the classic outfit just can't be beaten. She just looks so great in it. The way the colors pop, the way she's holding the lasso, it's awesome. So yeah, these are both really, really cool. But like you said, it's kind of bittersweet because we're like, these are so great. Can't wait to see the movie. Don't know when we'll see the movie, but I can't wait for it.
I think the gold's kind of like her quote unquote sonar suit.
Right, or I was going to go with like the bat armor from Batman vs. Superman.
I mean, tomato.
Yeah, and just shows where your frame of reference continues to be. I will say this though, like I've seen some fans, like when I tweeted this out or whatever, and I shared it, and it's like I've seen some fans that are kind of bitter that it got pushed back from November. It got put, because it was originally slated for the beginning of November, and then they pushed it to June. And now because of COVID-19, it might be August, it might even be later, who knows? And so I'm seeing a lot of people, well, not a lot, but enough people kind of be bitter and being like, oh, well, if they hadn't delayed it in the first place, we'd have already seen it. Which I get that perspective, because yes, that's true. Had they not delayed it, we would have already seen it. We would already have the movie, and I get that. But I also do understand the rationale of delaying it in the first place, because it was like 4 weeks after Joker. And so to have those two big DC movies so close together, it just didn't seem like a great way to manage the slate. And these movies are called tentpoles for a reason. They're placed strategically in the calendar to hold up the rest of the slate like a tentpole. And so to have two tentpoles within 4 weeks of each other last fall didn't make a lot of sense for their business. Whereas to have Wonder Woman as a tentpole in the summer of 2020, when it became the movie of the summer in 2017, made a lot of sense. And nobody could have foreseen COVID-19 coming. This took everybody by surprise. It's not like they knew, but next year there's going to be this thing going on. So I get the frustration because now we don't know when we're going to get to see the movie. But at the same time, I also feel like, come on, like if you were in charge of the studio, you would also move Wonder Woman to where it could make the most money and be the most beneficial to you, and that would have been June, not November.
Yeah, and I mean we should be talking about the release of the Blu-ray right now, because I can guarantee it would have been, because it would have come out around that Easter break time. But yeah, and the other thing is too, you need to remember, people, when this all happened, like, nobody knew the kind of money Joker was going to pull in.
Right.
So
yeah.
I mean, they would have been splitting their own box office.
Right.
They could have done a lot of damage to each other's overall total, because who knew Joker was going to make $1 billion? I mean, yeah, I get the rationale as well, and it's one of those things that, yeah, we should have already seen it by now. We should be reviewing the Blu-ray and bonus features and stuff, but we're not. And I mean, what can you do? Except just be a little bit disappointed, but you just gotta. I mean, at the moment, if your biggest problem's, a delay of a movie, as much as because I'm equally as disappointed as a lot of people, but there's a lot of other things you sort of need to prioritize at the moment. Let's be honest.
Yeah, and you're right. Joker became such a huge hit. Biggest R-rated movie worldwide of all time, I think it was. Warner Brothers' biggest movie of the year. In hindsight, moving Wonder Woman away from it actually seems really smart, because then Joker continued to make all that money. Whereas, if Wonder Woman had come out 4 weeks later, it could have hurt Joker's legs. So,
and vice versa.
Yeah. So, again, like, I don't blame them for pushing it to summer. It made perfect sense, but things change. To quote the Penguin, things change, and so now we're just we're all dealing with the repercussions. And good point that, like, hey, the worst problem you've got right now is that Wonder Woman, you're not going to get to see it for a few months later. Well, then we're doing okay. Brett, any other thoughts on Wonder Woman's release date and all this good stuff?
No, just hopefully it stays where it's at and we can get back to normalcy and we can all see it, because that's what I'm more looking forward to.
Yep, amen to that. Like, I want my biggest problem to be like, how much popcorn should I eat while eating Wonder Woman? That should be my biggest thing for the week, hopefully. But the good news is Wonder Woman is made. We will see it. We'll see it eventually. It's just a matter of when and how, but we're going to get there. But a movie that was still getting made and now, things have changed, has been put on hold with everything else, is The Batman. Matt Reeves' The Batman. He recently did an interview with Nerdist, and he was supporting the new sci-fi series Tales from the Loop. But of course, if Matt Reeves is speaking publicly, the first thing that people are going to do is ask him about Batman, because that's just the way it works. He had some interesting things to say about Batman, and while the production of the film is on hold, I thought it was worth hearing what he did have to say. Here's what he said about previous Batman movies to start. He said, there have been some terrific Batman movies, and I don't want to be part of a long line of Batman movies where this is just another one. I feel like they've been really distinctive. The best ones have been incredible. What Nolan did was incredible, and what Tim Burton did was really singular. He says, I love Batman Returns. Michelle Pfeiffer was incredible. I love it. I love it so much. It's so incredible, and she's so incredible in it. I think it's such a beautiful movie. I love the Penguin stuff when he's going down the sewers as the baby. It's just like, wow, this is the beautiful thing about Tim Burton at his best in that way, that he's got that connection to the fantastical that feels very, very personal. He also talked a little bit about The Dark Knight, and he said The Dark Knight is so incredible, and I think that Heath Ledger's performance and their conception of the Joker in that movie is indelible, and the battle that he engaged with, the Batman Bruce, is incredible. He said, but the thing you take away from it more than anything is that conception. Specifically, I think of the Joker. That movie is so much more how it's a horrifying thing to stare into the abyss, that idea of that level of nihilism, the whole idea that there was nothing you could do because even in the destruction of him, you were fulfilling his aims. It was just a terrifying notion that speaks to an aspect of human nature, and that was really profound. And so he continued to saying how his will differ from what happened in the past. He said, I just felt like, well, Actually, maybe I should stop there. We should talk about his comments about previous films before we go into the next part. So, okay. So he has some really great things to say about Batman Returns and The Dark Knight. So, Brett, how you feeling now that we know where Matt Reeves' Batman tastes lie?
I'd say they're good tastes.
I mean, Dark Knight's your favorite. He seems to agree. That's great.
I mean, the one thing is with him, it's he's praising it. He's doing everything he needs to do there. I like his comments. They're really good.
Awesome, Brandon. What do you think?
I mean, like, he's not wrong. I mean, I know you're going to be very pleased with his feelings on Batman Returns.
He's not wrong. In fact, he's f***ing right, is what he is. He's 100% goddamn right, Brendan.
It's good. I mean, it's good that he's got, he's got his own fandom there, which I think is important. Because you hear a lot of creative people taking on roles in films like this where they're like, I have no prior knowledge, or essentially what Tim Burton was when he first started taking things on. But I can't really add much to what he's already said. I mean, it's his opinions, and I can't argue with any of them. Obviously, you're a bigger fan of Batman Returns than I am, but I still really like the movie. And, we all know how good Dark Knight is. So, yeah, I'm just glad that he's clearly a fan.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. I love the two that he chose to expound upon. I think that was so cool. Because they are very different movies, and to me it shows that he can appreciate a lot of different angles on Batman, because you can't get more different than Batman Returns and The Dark Knight, but at the same time they're both great movies in their own right. That's right, they're great movies in their own right. And so I just love that he can appreciate those different filmmakers' visions and how they interpreted the character. I'll tell you, when he first started talking about the Batman Returns, and he just kept saying, "Oh, Michelle Pfeiffer's incredible," which she is, 100%. I was like, "Oh, does he just love it because of how good she is?" But then I really loved what he said about really enjoying the Penguin stuff, and I loved what he said. He goes, "It's Tim Burton at his best because it's fantastical, but it feels very, very personal." And I think that was such a cool comment, because obviously, I like something a little more fantastical, and so to hear Matt Reeves, who's carrying the torch for Batman, praise something fantastical from Tim Burton, that makes me happy. I like to hear that as well. And then really diving into the how scary The Dark Knight is. And again, that's something I've always loved about that movie, is it's a superhero movie, it's a crime movie, but God, it's also really scary. Like, the first time I watched it, I was on the edge of my seat, and I just love what he had to say about the fact that even if you are defeating the Joker, you're still somehow letting him win, and how terrifying that is. And I think that's a great way of looking at it. So no, I love hearing what appeals to him about these other films. They're two films that I love too, so yes, of course that helps. But I feel like what he honed in on them about what works about them, I thought was really interesting. So I dug it. But anyway,
he's using Penguin and Catwoman.
That's true. You're right. He is using them too. So, and he's going to want to get to the Joker.
Of course.
But there's time for it. Anyway, so I thought that was cool. Made me happy to hear him praise some of the other versions of Batman. And so when he was talking about finding the shape for his Batman, this is what he said. He said, "I just felt like, what I'd love to do is get a version of Batman where he's not yet fully formed, where there's something to do in this context with who that guy would be in this world today, and to ground him in all of these broken ways, because at the end of the day, the guy is doing all of this to deal with trauma in his past." He went on, and I'm sorry, they broke it up into two articles, so I have to switch articles. Thanks, Internet. He also said he approached it like any of his other projects. He said, "I'm going to pitch the version of Batman that I would like to do, which is going to have a humanist bent, and who knows if they'll have any interest. If they don't, then I won't do it, and that'll be okay. I was really lucky that they said yes." He says, it's not even that it's an approach that I take, like it's some kind of idea of, wouldn't it be great? It's sort of the only thing that allows me to understand how to do it. I can only understand where the camera goes and how to talk about the story, how to write the story, how to talk to the actors, if I understand emotionally what it is I have to do. Otherwise, I'd be lost. He said some people are incredible choreographers and they know how to create an incredible visual dance or all of that kind of stuff. And I love that kind of stuff, but at the end of the day, I have to understand it emotionally. He talked a little bit about exploring Bruce Wayne. He said, I wanted to do not an origin tale, but a tale that would acknowledge his origins and that it formed who he is. Like this guy, he's majorly struggling. This is how he's going to rise above that struggle. But that doesn't mean that he even fully understands. You know, it's the whole idea of the shadow self and what's driving you and how much of that you can incorporate and how much of it you're doing that you're unaware of. There's something in there that feels very psychological, very emotional, and it felt like there was a way of exploring that along with the corruption of this place, Gotham. That feels very current. I think it always does. There's almost no time when you can't do a story about corruption, but today it seems incredibly resonant, and maybe from my perspective, maybe more so than maybe any other time. So we're starting to get some insights into how he is approaching Batman as a character, the world that Batman lives in. So, Brendan, what do you think?
I mean, there's a lot of director, I kind of want to say jargon.
Yeah,
in
yeah.
There. Like,
a lot of very directorly mumbo jumbo of, I hear you.
Nothing, really specific in there. Like, there's no, I mean, I don't think there's any real information per se about the movie we're going to get. The thing that surprises me, though, and I'm sure it's the part that stands out to everyone, is the whole, like, not an origin story. And it's like, well, everything we're seeing kind of tends to make us think the opposite. So, because I remember, I messaged you earlier this morning about this article because I never saw the original. I just saw, every other fan site posting quotes and headlines.
Yeah, and that's always the struggle. All you're getting is every other site's interpretation of what he said, and you've got to find the original source.
Try and sift through what's fact and what's fiction. But,
right.
I mean, one of the things I saw during the week was that he wants to do, or he's doing a Batman that's sort of lost for words now. That's formed. He wants to do like a fully formed character, like what again, it was just their take on not doing an origin story. But again, it's kind of like all I kind of see is, I mean, it might not be the origin as far as not showing the Wayne's death and him actually, what we saw in Batman Begins with him, crafting the persona from the get-go. But I don't know, it still looks very, very origin story-ish to me.
Well, okay, so here's the thing. There's a little bit of a contradiction in his comments.
Yeah.
Because he says, I didn't want to do another origin story. But he also says he wanted to do a version of Batman that's not yet fully formed.
Uh-huh.
So it's not an origin, but it is early Batman who's not yet fully formed.
Which to me makes up part of an origin, doesn't it?
I mean, it's just early career Batman. But yeah, I assume what he means, and this is my speculation just based on his comments. What he means is we're not seeing him travel the world and train to become Batman. We're seeing him, as we've heard, a year or two into being Batman where he's still figuring it out. So the origin is him, is him training and putting together the suit and doing his first mission. We're not getting that, but we are getting what comes after that before he's fully 100% Batman in his prime.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's all very direct to speak. you kind of got to really sift through what he says to get to the bones of what he's saying. But it is what it is. It's not really anything major, but I think it's sort of the first time that he's really kind of spoken about it in either a very long time or forever. So that's why, everyone's jumped all over it.
Well, and this, yeah, you're right. This is his first real public comments about his approach to Batman. He's not done that. And so that's why we had heard all these rumors and a lot of those rumors weren't necessarily even rumors. They were wishful thinking of like, oh, we're going to get a Batman in his prime. We're going to get a fully formed universe. We're going to get this. And he never said any of that. So this is the first time. This is the first time he's saying it's not an origin story, but it's a Batman who's not fully formed. Which, okay, it's actually kind of nice to hear him say that, because you go, okay, well, now I can wrap my head around where you're coming from. And a lot of it is stuff we have since assumed, since seeing photos and the couple of reveals that we've gotten. We've assumed that this is kind of where it's going, but it's nice to hear it from him. Brett, how you feeling about this?
Well, I mean, I kind of like the idea of where, it's Batman, but not, all the way Batman, where he's still kind of learning, still kind of figuring things out. I really like that aspect of it.
Okay. I mean, it's interesting because I can almost consider, I mean, obviously it's going to be a different universe, it's going to be a different take, but it almost feels like this story, based on what he's saying, could come right after Batman Begins, right? Like, right after his first big mission, this is what happens next. Because in the Nolan trilogy, we jumped ahead 6 months, 8 months, something like that. This could have been what's next. Again, I really like what he's saying about, like, he really wanted to tap into Bruce and Batman on an emotional level because that's what guides him as a director. I think all that's great. I think that's important, I think that Batman should be the most compelling character in a Batman movie. So I think that all that's really cool, and I'm excited to see how that's reflected in the script. And then, as for it's not an origin story, but it is still early Batman, for me, that's like, okay, it just helps. It helps me reconcile what we've seen, and then to really understand what this approach might end up being.
Yeah, I agree.
Something else he did say, and I can't find those comments, but he said that they shot about 25% of the movie before they shut down production, which honestly I'm kind of impressed with, because it was only a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So good on him. But he does seem like one of those directors who's sort of efficient, and he also gets a lot for the studio's money, I guess you could say. Just because, when I think about Let Me In and Cloverfield, those were not highly budgeted movies, but they looked great, and I think that he shot them really well. So anyway, 25%, good on you, Matt Reeves. But he did say that right now, on this downtime, he's focusing on planning for all the big action scenes, so that way it'll be easier to shoot once they actually start production back up. But right now, there's no actual delays, and right now he still thinks he can stay on schedule, so he's just focusing on how he can make the shooting more efficient once they start back up. So, it's all you can do right now, and sounds good. I hope that's true. I hope, like everything, they can start shooting again soon. But nice to hear that he's trying to think ahead as much as he can so we can keep Batman on schedule, on track.
Yeah. No, he's doing, like you said, all that you can at the moment, which is, obviously nothing physical, but it's great that he's still working, quote unquote, working on the project as much as he can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all you can do. And then it just reminded me, James Gunn, someone asked him on Twitter about the Suicide Squad, and they asked him about, there are going to be any delays because of everyone, in self-quarantine. And he said, the movie's in post-production, work hasn't stopped, so he also says he's on schedule. So we'll see.
Yeah.
It's good to hear. Anyway, mostly I was excited to hear Matt Reeves start to talk about Batman in a more public way. Of course he's shared little bits on Twitter and stuff, but he's not come out specifically and say, hey, here's why I'm doing Batman and here's what interests me. And I really like his comments. I think they're cool. I'm able to start putting my head where I think his head is at, and I look forward to seeing more. So this was a nice surprise, especially right now as news is pretty quiet because everybody's holed up at home. it was a nice surprise to get Matt Reeves talking about the Batman, and the more we know. So it's cool. There was one other news story I wanted to touch on because I thought it was worth mentioning, and this is from Deadline. So this week, Deadline is doing analyses of different blockbuster movies and their profitability. And the reason I thought it was worth mentioning on the show is because they did it for Shazam. They ranked Shazam. Yeah, this is actually really cool. So they ranked Shazam as number 21 on Deadline's 2019 Most Valuable Blockbuster Tournament. So here's what they're doing is it's, as we all know, like, it's so tricky to analyze the profitability of a Hollywood movie because Hollywood accounting is witchcraft, and usually it's full of lies, and nobody knows what things cost and what things spend, and then studios cook the books so they can say they didn't make any money so they can write it off, and it's shady. It's a shit show, guys. So Deadline is helping. They're helping us sort through the shit show, and so they're giving some analyses. So what they said it's not about film grosses at the box office. The true tale is told when production budgets, talent participations, promotion, and other costs collide with grosses and other revenues like VOD, DVD, and TV to get close to the mysterious end of the equation. So they did a whole analysis, and so they ranked Shazam as number 21 as incredibly profitable for Warner Brothers / New Line. So they talked about that it was modestly budgeted at $100 million. They talked about they gave the lead to Zachary Levi, who does not command a huge paycheck, letting him be the star of it. They talked about the big opening weekend and giving it a month before Captain Marvel, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But the bottom line is that the worldwide gross of $336 million was a cash-on-cash return ratio of 1.28, which was on par with something like Ant-Man, which is funny because when the movie was coming out, people were like, oh, this is like the modest budget for Warner Brothers. This feels like DC's Ant-Man, right? Turns out that was right on. The cast participations were low because it was Zachary Levi's first marquee role. And so it was, again, ranked number 21 because the net profit was $74 million. So $74 million net profit after $262 million in overall costs. And then it ends with, it's no wonder that they have plans to say Shazam again with a sequel coming soon. So when this movie came out, and we all thought it would do better, I still think it should have done better. But there were a lot of thoughts about like, oh, was it profitable enough? Did it make them enough money? And what I love about this is that it puts that to rest. Like, it was absolutely profitable. It made Warner Brothers millions of dollars, and that's why they have moved forward with the sequel. So it's nice to get some actual numbers and some actual analysis. So if you guys are interested in this, go to Deadline and probably search Shazam or search most profitable blockbusters, because it was nice to see this. And David Sandberg retweeted it, Zachary Levi retweeted it, so it was a very cool thing. So for the people who go, oh, Shazam flopped, well, guess what? Now it's in writing. Not true.
I never heard the talk that it flopped. I actually watched it last Sunday night for the first time in a couple of months. Jesus, it's a good movie.
Yeah, it's so great. It's generally the people who don't like DC and like to talk bad about DC. It's those who say it, and I see just enough of it to annoy me. But yeah, Brendan, thoughts on this little story from Deadline?
I mean, I don't really have any thoughts on it. I mean, it's good news. It's good that they're kind of taking the mythology out of it and just putting it in black and white as to what actually makes a movie profitable.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd like to. Did they do it for Joker? Did that come into it at all? Because
I haven't seen it yet, but I imagine that's going to be higher than 21.
That's going to be pretty high, you would assume, based on the budget of the movie compared to what it made, and profitability. But yeah, I mean, it's good that they're doing it. I guess when you've got no new movie news to report on, really, they're reaching for alternatives like we all are, and that's pretty interesting.
Yep. It makes me want to go to Deadline and read all of these because I'm fascinated by the number crunching of this stuff.
You do love the numbers.
Yeah. Brett, any thoughts on this with Shazam?
Well, obviously it was profitable and helps out, and I thought it was a great movie, so I'm pleased with it.
Yeah, nice to see it get some love, some much deserved love. And now I just want things to get better so they can get moving on the sequel. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
So those are kind of the big news things that I wanted to talk about. And because there wasn't a ton of news, we did want to watch some more Batman Beyond and review a couple more episodes. So without further ado, let us get into the next, not one, but 2 episodes of Batman Beyond. All right, again, last time, what did we talk about? We talked about Lost Soul. And so this time, we did Hidden Agenda and Bloodsport. These are both from Season 2. Season 2, Episodes 5 and 6. So we will start with Hidden Agenda. So Hidden Agenda, this one is about a smaller group of the Jokers. And the leader of this smaller group, he's a Joker, but he's kind of like if the Joker was a scarecrow and a skull. He kind of has a skull face and a straight jacket. And so they're causing trouble, as they do. At the same time, at school, we've got Terry and his friends Maxine and his girlfriend, whose name is escaping me, Dana. Right? Dana?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know why I blanked there. But yes, so Terry, Dana, and Maxine, like the SAT scores are out, and we find out Maxine got a perfect score, and like the smartest kid in the school, what the heck was his name? It's not in here. Damn it. Anyway, the smartest kid in the school, I can't remember his name. He just fell right under Maxine. Well, we find out that kid, smartest kid in the school. First of all, he's got a really scary mom. His mom, I think, is the stepmom from Cinderella. And she's like, oh.
And it's Michael Rosenbaum, too, we should mention.
Yes. The voice is Michael Rosenbaum.
Lending his voice to a DC character.
Yep. And so the mom is like, oh, you did your best? Well, you're just the first loser because this Maxine beat you. So we find out this kid, he is that skull-faced Joker. And so he leads his gang into the school. He vandalizes the school. He trashes the scores for it's not the SATs. They have their own GATs or something, but
it's the SATs.
It's the SATs. He trashes the school. He busts up the computer with the SATs. At the same time, Maxine, she's really smart, but she's also a little bored. And so she's put together a computer program to try and figure out who Batman is. And once this thing happens at the school, she's like, well, I'm going to shift it to try and find out who these Jokers are because they also booby trap her locker. So she gets this like computer analysis of students in the school who might have a double life. And at the top of the list is Terry McGinnis. So she assumes that Terry McGinnis is part of the Jokers. And at the same time, Terry is like, hey, you need to shut down this program. They're obviously after you. This must be why. To stay safe, you should shut it down. And so she's like, well, of course he wants me to shut it down. He's a Joker. So she thinks she's got him. She sets up a secret rendezvous with him. The Jokers show up, but he doesn't. And she's like, oh, I know who you are, Terry. And he's like, I'm not Terry. In fact, Terry didn't tell us anything. We followed you. And then Terry shows up as Batman, saves her. We find out that head Joker, yes, was the dude from school. And so, yeah, not only is he not going to college, he's going to jail. And now Maxine goes, well, now I know who you are. So she knows that Terry is Batman, and she's going to help him out and keep his secret. So now he has another ally who knows who he is. This one aired on October 16th of 1999. Brett, what did you think of Hidden Agenda?
I thought it was all right. This is actually my first ever episode of watching Batman Beyond.
Oh, interesting. Well, welcome to the party.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it probably wasn't the greatest one to start with, but I'll probably go back through and watch them all now, just so that way I get caught up and kind of figure out what the heck's going on. But I did thought it was, kind of clunky, kind of boring, high school drama. But I thought it was okay.
All right. Brendan, where are you on this?
Remember last episode how I loved it and gave it an A? I thought it was really, really good.
Yeah?
Yeah, this ain't that.
Oh, man.
I really didn't like it. I mean, it's Batman chasing down a guy who didn't get the top SAT score. Really? It did nothing for me. Actually, I tell a lie. I did like the Maxine thing, how she kind of figured it out, and at the end, how she does step in and has his back, which is nice. It's nice that there's an ally there, and I like the little nod to Alfred, and she had no idea who he was talking about. But the main plot, honestly, I'm just watching it going, who gives a rat's ass? It's an SAT score. Like, this is not the sort of thing that a character of Batman should be involving himself with. So, yeah, I wasn't a big fan at all.
Wow. I really like this one. Huh. I thought we were in a good good area here for Batman Beyond, because I was like, oh, this is a really good one. I guess we don't agree. I liked this new Joker that was Michael Rosenbaum. Like, I thought he looked cool. I liked him a lot, and I think the reason I liked the episode so much is I really like Maxine as a character. I think she's a great character, and I like that this is sort of her really becoming a part of the show and becoming important, and I like that she becomes this ally. I love how smart she is, and just what a good friend she ends up being to Terry. So yeah, I liked this one. I guess it was just me. So oh well. But yeah, and I do love at the end when she's like, oh, I know who you are, I can help you. And he's like, well, how can you help me? And then Dana comes in complaining that he stood her up again. Dana's kind of a pain in the ass. But Maxine, not so much. She's great. And so she gets him out of it, and she's like, oh, he had to babysit. And Dana's like, okay, fine, I guess that's all right. But I love when she goes, you call me Robin, and I'm out of here. And then, like you said, Brendan, he goes, no problem, Alfred. And she's just like, huh? So
Maxine aesthetically kind of reminds me of I can't remember a bloody name now. The chick in
Mystery of the Batwoman.
One that's like Twala. Yeah,
Twala,
she's got the same eyes. Yeah.
This came first, though.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. But yeah, it's just aesthetically, she kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah.
Whether they kind of use that
the
model.
Halle Berry, animated Halle Berry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the eyes. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess I liked it more than you guys. I thought it was solid. But I mean, I guess when you put it that way, if like Batman's chasing down the guy who didn't get the best SAT score, okay, when you put it that way, it makes it sound much worse than I thought it was. All right. Well,
so can I describe exactly what it is?
Yeah, but it's not. He's not. That's not why he's chasing him down. He's chasing down a Joker who vandalized the school and tried to kill his friend.
I know. But still, the motivation's not that great.
I like when he booby traps all the little cleaning robots to shoot acid.
Oh, that was the other thing. Like, the death trap's a cleaning product. Like, that's Batman 66 did more creative stuff than that.
Oh, all right.
I totally forgot about that part. That was where I was really like, oh, come on. He's using a bloody robot vacuum cleaner as a death trap.
It's death by Roomba.
Oh, God.
Okay, fine. Brett, what would you give it for a letter grade?
I can't give it middle of the road. I gave it a C.
All right, Brendan?
D+, and it's getting the plus because of the new ally thing that was introduced. I liked that part.
Did you say C+? D+. D+. That's way harsh, Ty.
D for dog shit.
Man. Oh, I was going to give it a B+ because I liked it, but all right. Well, moving forward. Episode number 6, Bloodsport. Okay. There's a mysterious stranger in Gotham City. And at the same time, Terry McGinnis is out there doing his Batman thing. But of course, because Terry McGinnis is out doing his Batman thing, he's constantly late. He's never there to help his mom when she needs it, and she needs it. She's taking some sort of test for something. And he promises her he's going to help her out, watch his little brother so she can go take this test and study and whatnot. And so he's watching his little brother, and they go to Chuck E. Cheese, except it was called Cheesy Dan's, right?
I think so, yeah.
Cheesy Dan's. So they go to Chuck E. Cheese. And I guess so this mysterious stranger is like this hunter, right? He's like this super hunter, this big game hunter. He wears very little clothing. He just has tattoos and a big staff and a big scar that runs down his back. His name is the Stalker. So before Terry goes to watch his little brother, he ends up fighting the Stalker. The Stalker throws a grenade at him, a flash grenade at him, but he escapes, and then he's got to go watch his kid brother. So he's watching his brother. They go to Chuck E. Cheese. Max is there. See, she's already back. And the Stalker follows Terry because the grenade coated him in some sort of phosphorus powder or whatever. So now he knows who he is, and so the Stalker is after Batman. And so Terry leaves Matt, his little brother, with Maxine, and he's on the run from the Stalker as Terry. So there's a big chase through the city. He gets back, and the Stalker kidnaps his brother, Matt. And so now Terry's got to go after him. And so he goes and finds him. And at the same time, we find out more about the Stalker. We find out he was this big game hunter. He got attacked by a panther or something. And it messed him up. And he had to get his entire spine replaced. And when he got his spine replaced, it made him really fast and really strong. And so all of the fun of the hunt was lost because he just got too good. And so he thought the only thing that he needed was a challenge of the hunt. And he thought once Batman was back, there's no greater challenge than hunting down Batman. So Batman, Terry McGinnis, he shows up, fights the Stalker, frees Matt, eventually gets the Stalker falls onto a train. They imply he gets hit by the train, but we never see a body, so we assume he'll be back at some point. And then Batman returns Matt, and Matt's like, "Oh, Batman's the best. He saved my butt. Way better than you, Terry." And so they're happily ever after. So Bloodsport, Brett. Oh, this one, October 23rd, 1999. Brett, what did you think of Bloodsport?
Well, a lot better than the other one. I like it had great animation. The fighting sequences were really good. I like the story. I thought this one was a really a lot better.
All right, cool. Brendan? Still?
I'm sorry. This episode encapsulated for me everything I don't like, or just the reason why I can't get into this show is it's just another. Because they have to create all these new villains because they don't have any of the classic rogues to work with. It's just I didn't give a shit. I didn't like the villain. I didn't like the motivation. I didn't like the aesthetic. It just does nothing for me. Like I said, I know it's already starting with a disadvantage because I can't sugarcoat it. I just don't really like Batman Beyond. But this episode, like I said, this is writ large the reason why I can't really get into it. It just, I don't know, it just seems very try hard. It's just tell Batman stories with the classic rogues because this just isn't working. So, yeah, I'm sorry. I know I sound like such a wet blanket, but it's just not for me.
Oh, man. Okay. I like this one, too. What the hell, man?
I'm sorry.
I feel like season 1 of Batman Beyond was fine, but not the best. And I feel like they're starting to hit a stride here where I'm liking each episode. You know, I'm really liking them all. Like, again, they're not the best thing ever. They're not Batman the Animated Series, but I feel like things are really starting to come together, and I'm just really enjoying the episodes. This one,
like, I will say, it doesn't feel like a chore to watch them. Like the fact that when you were like, we're doing 2 this week, I wasn't like, oh, for God's sake, like you know, I am enjoying sitting down and watching them, and I particularly after the couple like Joyride and Lost Soul and stuff, like I genuinely liked them. So I mean, it's not all doom and gloom. It's more hit and miss. It's just that unfortunately these 2 in a row were more miss than hit for me.
Okay.
Where the last couple I've liked.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like season 2 so far has all been really good. Like I've really liked this season. I feel like they've started to crack it. I will say when this one started and you see the Stalker and you already pick up on the fact that, oh, he's here to hunt Batman, like that. You figured that out pretty quickly. And I did go, oh, he's Kraven the Hunter from Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But he looks like Dalsim from Street Fighter 2. So it was, if Kraven was Dalsim, now he's a Batman Beyond villain. And so at the beginning, I'm just kind of like, okay. And it did feel like, okay, maybe not the most inspired idea for a new villain, but okay, sure.
It reminded me of, like, I thought like one of the Worry Men from Batman the Animated Series, but by way of Batman Beyond.
Okay, kind of. So when it starts, I was like, okay, that's fine. But I really liked how easily he cracked Terry and went after Terry. And so I thought the chase with Terry as himself was actually really good. And then when they went into his origin, I was like, okay, he might be, as a character, he might be a little derivative of Kraven, but when they gave him his backstory, and it was really dark, and the animation was kind of creepy, you know, it was another one of those where I went, oh man, like I feel like if I was a kid, this would be creepy, because they show them operating on his back, and he's like screaming in pain, and I'm like, this is real dark. And I once they gave me his backstory, I was like, okay, I like him a little more. Like, that makes him more interesting to me, because that's kind of a gross and creepy origin for this villain. And then by the time it's done and he, you know, maybe he died, maybe he went missing, I was like, okay, he's not bad. I wouldn't call him the best villain ever, but I liked him enough, and I think that the backstory helped a lot. And I also liked that this was one that was really about Terry and his brother, because we meet Terry's brother in episode 1, but we haven't seen much of him up until now. And I like that this is an episode where he's trying to be a good big brother, and he ends up having to protect his brother and save his brother. And at the end of the day, his brother still thinks he's kind of a dork, but he thinks Batman's the coolest thing ever. So overall, I thought it was a pretty good episode. So I'll be the positive one. That's fine. So a letter grade. Brett, what'd you think?
Like I said, I thought this was good. One thing for me why I haven't got into Batman Beyond is, for me, it was hard to imagine Batman not being Bruce Wayne. So, but I like this story. I gave it a B. I thought it was good.
All right, Brendan.
Middle of the road for me, so C. Just a straight out C.
All right. I'm giving this one a B+ too. I thought we had 2 B+ in a row, but that's just me. So, all right, 2 more episodes of Batman Beyond. We were mixed on them. I liked them. Brendan didn't, and Brett seemed to sort of be in between us. So the next one up is episode 7 from season 2, which is Once Burned. So next time we do it, that's the one we're watching. Thank you guys for following along. But now,
Brett, I was going to say, being in between us isn't a bad place to be.
Everyone should be so lucky. Anyway, now before we wrap up, let us check in with you fine folks as we crack open the Wayne Manor mailbox. It's time again for Wayne Manor mailbox.
You've got mail.
Darren, what is a letter for me?
Maybe temporary.
She wrote a letter.
You're one hell of a messenger.
Wayne.
All right, we got some emails. All right, here we go.
Oh, cool. That's good. What we had, was it 2 last week?
Yeah, I think that's what happened is people listened and they're like, oh, they need emails? Happy to oblige. All right, this is from Terry Mortensen. It says, hey, Holy BatCast family, I've been listening for a few years, but I've never written in. When the last mailbag was so small, I thought I would finally do my part. Thanks, Terry. Thanks for doing your part. He said, when Matt Reeves released the first look at Batman, I saw elements of Bill Finger and Bob Kane's original design. With more images and context, now I see this influence less, but it brought a question to my mind. I love Grant Morrison's R.I.P. run for how he represented Batman's entire history as different stages of his career, explaining it all with Batmite in a really trippy issue. If Matt Reeves or another filmmaker were to attempt this in live action or in a TV series, how do you think the Silver Age could be represented? Seems like a period of colorful costumes and flashy characters right between the gritty takes of the golden and modern ages. It may be too risky for a big budget franchise. However, I'd still really love to see Batman's entire career play out in live action. Do you think someone could make it work? Thanks, Terry Mortensen. Terry, thanks for finally writing in and doing your part. We appreciate it. And we love hearing from people for the first time. So thank you for that. Okay, so like the Silver Age when it was really corny and campy and the colorful costumes and going to space and fighting dinosaurs and all that insanity. Do you think they could pull it off in live action, Brendan?
I think they did, and it was called Batman 66. Really? I mean, but to do it today, I don't think so. I don't know. Like I do really like the idea of seeing the career from like all the way through. Like I would obviously love to see that through a big series of movies spanning 10, 15 years. But yeah, I don't know. I will say though, and I don't want to sound like a wet blanket, but I really didn't like that Morrison. That was too trippy for me. That's what I think I've said before when I was originally reading comics back in the day. That's where I tapped out. I'm like, this is just too. I don't get it. Like, this is not for me. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think? I don't know if you could do that today. If it would have to be an animated thing, I think. I don't think you could do it in live action.
Yeah, I have thoughts. Brett, what do you think before I chime in?
I kind of agree with Brendan. I don't know how well you could do that nowadays. I think animation probably be the best bet, but live action I think that'd be pretty difficult.
Yeah, I mean animation absolutely, but his question was live action, so that's the tricky part. Because yeah, I mean in animation you could say Teen Titans Go does it, Lego Batman did it to an extent, right? So animation you could still get away with it. Even Batman the Brave and the Bold did a lot of things that were in that genre. Live action's a lot trickier. I agree with what you said, Brendan. Yeah, they did it in the 60s with Batman 66. I would say Joel Schumacher did it with 2 movies in the 90s.
That's what I was going to say too, particularly Batman and Robin. It's very much that.
Yeah.
That, Silver Age.
Could they do it now? They could certainly try. They could try to treat it like a Joker, where it's not connected to any continuity. It's a one-off. This is the goofy, over-the-top, essentially Batman 66 on the big screen, but like all out, and it's its own thing. And they could do it. Would people be excited about it? I don't know. But you could try it, like one of kind of the strengths of the comic book genre these days is how much breadth there is within the genre, where you can have something super serious and R-rated like Joker, and then at the same time, you have something like, Wonder Woman 1984, which is looks like a big crowd-pleasing 80s extravaganza, and everything in between. Birds of Prey was very interesting and unique in its own way. So it shows that you can do a lot of very different things. This one, yeah, you could do it. You could try. I don't know if people will show up. I don't know if people want to see that Batman on the big screen anymore.
Because if you're going to do the one-off approach, it almost seems like people are interested if you do the reverse. Like if you go really dark and you know, R-rated and everything, as opposed to being light and super fun.
I mean, but there's no reason you couldn't say this is a one-off Batman movie.
Oh, I don't disagree.
Rated PG, and it's the lighter side of Batman. You know, it's Batman 66, but today. You know, and George Clooney's back. Or I don't know.
As long as we don't see bat nipples.
No, all the bat nipples and bat butt dimples. So yeah, I would be interested to see someone try, but yeah, I just don't know if there's an audience for it. All right, next message is from Mark Jurasevic. It says, "Hey, Holy BatCast crew, Andy. First, I'd like to offer my sincere condolences on the passing of your Babsha. It's not easy losing a loved one that is featured prominently in your life, and I hope you're doing okay." Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that, and yeah, I'm doing okay. We have seen her off, and we have celebrated her life, and we will continue doing so. He continues, "I'd like to thank you and the BatCast team for continuing to produce the show during the current pandemic. These are very exceptional and difficult circumstances, and it's very much appreciated. Your podcast offers a pleasant distraction from the events surrounding our everyday lives. During your recent Robin and the Best of Villains episodes, there were several mentions of Ra's al Ghul, who happens to be my favorite Batman villain. As a result, I revisited some of my favorite Batman stories featuring Ra's, and I'd like your thoughts. Number 1, Batman, Son of the Demon, a classic one-off non-continuity story by Michael W. Barr with fantastic artwork by Jerry Bingham. This was later made canon in Batman and Son, which introduced Damian Wayne, the son of Bruce and Talia. Batman number 400, a landmark issue featuring many prominent artists of the day, most notably with interior artwork by the amazing Brian Bolland, who was a cover artist for the 1991 Tim Drake Robin miniseries. The climactic battle between Batman and Ra's, as depicted by Bolland, is fantastic. Then Batman 232, 243, and 244. Last but not least, the introduction of Ra's and the 2-part issue follow-up, but by one of the best Batman teams, Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams. Anyway, take care and stay safe. Best regards, Mark." Thanks, Mark. I appreciate that. I don't know if I've read any of these. I am ashamed.
Really? Not even Son of the Demon?
I may have. That sounds familiar, but I don't know if it sounds familiar just because I've heard it said over the years or if I've actually read it. If I have read it, It's been years and I don't remember it.
Yeah, that's the only one I know that I've read, and again, it has been years, but I've got that as like it's an 80s edition of it, but it's like almost like a big oversized picture book, like a hardcover picture book.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the version I've got, but I definitely have that, but I don't think I've read any of the others. I mean, they could be part of like collections or something, but I honestly can't remember them, but Son of the Demon's good.
All right, that's cool. Maybe what I will do is when I'm done here, I will go onto DC Universe and download these. How about that? So then I will have read them. Brett, have you checked out any of these Ra's stories?
No, I actually just started getting into the comic books. I mostly was a movie person in animated series, but I am just now actually starting to read all of these.
Well, no worries. Now you've got some recommendations. Next message is from Drew Keese. It says, after listening to Zack Snyder talk about BVS and him doubling down on the idea of a 5-film arc, it got me wondering, why is it that the first time anyone ever mentioned the concept of 5 films were after the plan got scrapped? I feel like WB put themselves in a bad situation by being non-committal about the end goal of the DCEU. And that if everyone had been upfront with the plan from the beginning, things could have turned out a lot differently. Was it the result of WB moving the goalpost on Snyder? I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Drew. Thanks, Drew, for the message. I mean, your point is super valid, as you're right. Like when Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman and then the plans for Justice League came on, you're right. No one ever said, oh, it's a 5-film arc and there's an ending. That was all mentioned after the fact. So what do you think? Do you think things would have been different if everybody knew that there was an end in sight, Brendan?
Maybe. I mean, you've almost got to think that the higher ups knew, but I don't think it would change the fact that, I mean, I don't know how many times we've had this discussion, but we like BVS, but the fact is the general public didn't warm to it, so they overreacted and tried to course correct, and that didn't work either. So even if they did know that there was an end in sight, I don't think it would have changed the public's reaction to not really liking what they were given. So probably not.
All right, what do you think, Brett?
Yeah, I'm about on the same wavelength there. I will say when I first saw BVS, I did not like it, but then after watching a couple more times, I've grown more to appreciate it and actually liking it. But to me, I don't think the upper management had much of an idea what the heck they were doing.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I think that for the hardcore fans like ourselves, I think it would have changed our perception of the plan, and I think maybe it might have helped us manage expectations, because even myself, like I'll throw myself on the grenade and go, I had heard that that this DC universe on film was finite. I had been told that. It was like, no, it's not ongoing, there's an end. I'd been told that behind closed doors. It was something I never talked about. And I just went, well, that doesn't make any sense. Why would you do that? So even I was like, no, that can't be true, because we all were thinking MCU. We were all thinking, no, it's just going to keep going like Marvel, just movie after movie after movie. It's going to keep going. So, yeah, if Zack Snyder during the production of Batman vs. Superman had when making movies, like, you know what? Yeah, we're telling an epic superhero story that's going to culminate in Justice League 2, and that's going to be the ending, or whatever that might be. Yeah, I think that would have helped us fans, but I don't think it would have changed the perception of his movies by the general movie-going public. You know, Batman vs. Superman had an amazingly huge opening weekend. People were ready for that movie. People showed up for that movie. And then people didn't like that movie. So whether, I don't think anybody walking out of the movie would have gone, well, but it's a 5-film arc, so I like it better now. I just don't think that factors into it. So unfortunately, I don't think it would have changed. I think the end result would have been the same, whether we knew it or not. But I do think that, yes, for us fans, we would have appreciated knowing that was the plan. I will say, though, that on our last it was our last episode, me and Brendan were both like, are we stupid? What was the fifth film? What
was the fifth film?
What the hell? And we got a few tweets and a few emails, and the answer is nobody knows.
Okay.
So someone said, oh, there was going to be a Justice League 3. And then someone else goes, actually, they've never actually confirmed what the fifth film was. Some people think it could have been a Justice League 3. Some people could have been a Man of Steel 2. Some people think it could have been the Batman solo film. So, nobody knows what the fifth film in the 5-film arc was. So that made me feel better about us. Because I'm like, okay, we're not stupid. I mean, we are sometimes. But in that particular case. Shit. Yeah, I mean, so stupid, especially you.
Oh, yeah.
But in that particular case, when we were both like, what the hell's wrong with us? We can't think of what the fifth film was. It turns out there's no real answer. All right, next email is for you, Brendan, because it's titled Batman Forever.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's titled after the tattoo you have on your back, Batman Forever.
Lower back.
Yes. Oh, man. I can't. Okay. I can't. So many things I almost just said. You're welcome that I didn't. Okay.
It's only because you have to edit them out.
It's true. It's true. And I don't want to lose any more listeners than we already have. All right. This is from Majorly. It says, hey, guys, have you read the Batman Forever novelization? It's totally different from the movie. Should the novelization of Batman Forever been the actual movie? The deleted scenes from the movie and more backstory to each character were in the novelization. Major, thank you for the message. I assume that the novelization was written off of the original script. Because we do know that Batman Forever was changed heavily in production and then again in editing. So yes, the original script was one thing, and then there was some stuff they didn't even shoot, and then there was even more stuff that got cut out or moved around and changed in the finished product. So Brendan, as you are the expert on the subject, what do you think about had the original script been used?
Honestly, I have read the novelization, but I read it in 1995. It's been on my shelf ever since, but I haven't read it since then. But from memory, it is very much. I mean, the other week we were talking about the even the movie magazine, and I mean, if you remember that, how it sort of shows like the story of the film, it's out of whack as well compared to what we got. Like your Edward Nigma scene in Wayne Tech came first. It has, Harvey escaping from Arkham Asylum and things like that, and then you go to the bank heist, and it was much more that, and I believe it was based more on the script. So, look, I've always thought that the original, as much as I have that fondness for the movie, I do think the original scripting idea would have been better, and I think a lot more people would have enjoyed, it had fonder feelings for it, potentially what the original plan was.
Nice. Brett, what do you think?
I haven't read this, so don't have much for input on that, but if it's a lot different than the movie, then it probably would have been a lot better.
Yeah, I mean,
but it goes back to what I said the other, was it last week, the week before, where like how I said, the intent behind Batman Forever was very different to Batman and Robin. Like they set out originally to make a really good movie, whereas Batman and Robin was just cut and paste Batman Forever. They liked this one, they'll like it again.
Yeah, I will say that like I know enough about the story points that had been deleted along the way that. Do I think the movie would have been better? Absolutely. I think the movie would at least be more cohesive as a whole, because one of my big issues with the movie is that like they can't even pick a theme for the movie because it keeps changing based on the edit. So like it's like every problem that gets introduced gets changed in 2 scenes later because it's almost incoherent the way the movie is edited. At least the original script and the original story had one consistent arc and story to tell about Bruce Wayne. The finished film doesn't. At the same time, so will the movie be better? Yes, because it would actually all tie in together into one story. But at the same time, most of the stuff I don't like about the movie would still be there. The bad jokes, the camp, the over-the-top performance, all of that would still be there. Like when people go, if they did a Red Book edition, it'd be so much better. And I'm like, no, because I would still have to watch Tommy Lee Jones and Jim Carrey try to outact each other. Like that was what they shot. That was what got approved. That's what they said. Yep, we got it. None of that changes. It just means that the subplot about the book makes more sense than it does in the movie, where it makes no sense. So it'd be a better movie.
I can't disagree with that at all.
Yeah, I mean, on set, Joel Schumacher watched those performances and went, great, we got it. So that doesn't change.
No.
All right. Next message here is from Pastor Jasmine. It says, hey guys, in an interview a while back, Nicolas Cage said that if he had played Superman in Superman Lives, it would have been the greatest Superman movie ever, and it would have been better than all 4 of the Christopher Reeve movies. What are your thoughts on Nicolas Cage's comments? Pastor, thank you for the email. What do you think, Brendan?
I think you should stick to chasing after the Declaration of Independence. I honestly, and I don't know if I've ever said this in here before, I'm so glad that movie didn't happen. I've never been able to picture him in the role. I just can't. Like even back then, I've never been able to see it, and I'm so glad that it never happened.
All right, Brett, what do you think?
Again, I'm with Brendan on this one. I can't see him as Superman at all. I just never did. Scarecrow, maybe, but I just don't see him as that.
I didn't see this interview where he allegedly said this, but if he did say it, I think that's a bit much. I wouldn't agree to that because
Hopefully it was tongue in cheek.
I hope, but Nicolas Cage is an insane person, so who knows? Especially like Superman 1 and 2 are freaking classics, you know? Like, I mean, they both have a couple issues, but I think they're still great movies. So yeah, that's a lot to say, but I will say, it still breaks my heart that I never got to see that movie. Back when they announced it, I was with you. I was like, I can't picture it. But once I watched the documentary, The Death of Superman Lives, and they got the final look, I went, oh, actually, I can kind of see it. So it is for me, another one of those big what ifs. I wish I had seen it, but it was not meant to be.
I am one of these people though who would love to see it transferred into like a graphic novel or animated movie. Like I'd love that, just like Tim Burton's Batman 3. Like I'd love to see it in some form. But yeah, I'm just glad it didn't come to fruition the way it was intended.
Yeah. All right, next message is from our pal Stuart Busire. It says, hey, it's Stuart from Guernsey. I just want to say that the past 2 shows are exactly what I've needed. With everything going on at the moment, it's really hard to escape what's happening, as everyone seems to be talking about it. I know it's important because it's real life, but sometimes you just need some escapism and to have something to take your mind off of it, even if it's just for an hour or so, which I've been finding hard to do with other podcasts. I DJ and I host a radio show, which I was really excited for the other day so I could lose myself for 2 hours, but even then people were arguing about COVID-19 in the chat room, which put a downer on things for the rest of the show. You guys have touched on it slightly, but then you've moved on to business, which I've loved. Thanks for doing that, because in this hard time we're all going through, we still need to be able to escape for a short while, and that's what you guys have provided. There's a reason you're my favorite podcast, and this just adds bonus points. Also, your sexual innuendos had me in stitches. That's just what I needed. Not just you, Stuart. That's also exactly what Brendan needed.
I was going to say, what innuendos?
This is, if you guys are trying to scratch your brains on what to do for an upcoming show, I think you should have everyone vote for their favorite live-action Batman, and that would be one hell of a show. Anyway, sorry for the long message. I do try to keep them short, but I couldn't help it. Hope you're staying safe, Stuart. Thanks, Stuart. I'll add that on the to-do list. And then we'll fight. But no, thank you.
We'll wrestle.
We will. In Jell-O. In our Riddler boxers.
Yes.
I like the idea for a show. Because, yeah, it'd be fun to see how that turns out. I feel like, have we done that? Maybe we haven't.
I don't know if we've done actual actors. I know we've done costumes and Batmobiles, and there was another one, I think. But yeah, I'm not sure.
I think, we ranked the costumes, we ranked the Batmobiles, and I think there was an episode years ago where we just talked about all the actors, but we never ranked them or anything. So, yeah, you're right. It's a good idea, Stuart. I like it. Well,
I will say with escapism thing too, like it's great that it's having that effect on the listeners, because that's exactly why I think we're doing it too, to not have to think about that shit for 90 minutes or however long it might be.
Yeah, exactly.
It's an escape for us as well, so I'm glad it's coming through.
Yeah, definitely. All right, next message is from Mark Bickford. It says, "Hey guys, so to paraphrase Michael Keaton. You want to get theological? Let's get theological. It's regarding Ezra Miller. Why does God hate the Flash movie so much that he's throwing every plague against it? Seriously, WTF with this Ezra thing? The fact that we haven't seen any publicist trying to spin it yet makes me wonder. Best regards, Mark." So this one I almost brought up in the news, but I knew we had an email. So I was like, well, we'll just cover it then. So what Mark is referring to, if you guys aren't on Twitter, because really the only place I've seen it is on Twitter, is there was a 7-second video a couple days ago, maybe a week ago, of Ezra Miller meeting a fan. And the fan was like, hey, I want to fight you. Like, joking. And he went, oh, yeah, you want to fight? You want to fight? And he grabbed her, like, by the neck and, like, kind of, like, drug her down. And that's it. And you heard the person taking the video go, hey, cool it, man. Something like that. I'm sure you can find it. So it was making the rounds. And yeah, immediately people were like, well, so much for our Flash movie. I guess no more Ezra Miller. Brendan, what are your thoughts?
No pun intended. It to me, it seemed like a bit of a beat up. I don't know if people will think this is a popular opinion or not, and I'm not saying I technically condone what he did. It looked very playful. To me, I know in this day and age you've got to be very careful when it comes to physical contact, and I mean I'm not talking for COVID reasons, but like I don't know, like she's come in swinging, saying she wants to fight. He's sort of played back like. You also don't see enough of the video, like you don't see what happens after that, and the fact that there hasn't been a bigger brouhaha about it says to me that it's probably nothing. Yeah, I think it's, to be honest, a bit of a load of shit.
All right, Brett, thoughts? Did you see this?
I have not seen this, so I'm not sure on what was going on.
Yeah. All right, that's okay. Brendan and I, we chatted about it privately, and I agree with you. It's like, okay, number one, she came in joking with him, telling, oh, let's fight. Number two, you could tell by his tone of voice and his actions that he was being funny or trying to be funny. You can also tell he was probably drinking, which is why he was clumsy when he like was like, you want to fight? And we've seen him do this before. There was a video that was making the rounds like a year ago, maybe longer, where he was like introducing some sort of costume contest, and some guy walked by as Reverse Flash, and he walked up and like started play fighting him. So like he's done that before. And again, he's smiling and laughing while he's going, you want to fight? And she's laughing while he's doing it. So I think what happened is he was being funny, but he also had been drinking and was clumsy. And yeah, it went a little far. But like, it seems drastic to me from that video to go, F Ezra Miller, he's not our Flash anymore.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
And the fact that we haven't seen any sort of statement or published or anything, I do wonder if maybe the advice they gave him is they're like, you know what, like it's not a big deal. Let's just let it blow over. Because
you're right. Like I've only seen it on Twitter.
I've only seen it on Twitter. So I think if it had caught on more in the news, if it was a bigger deal, then he would have had to say something. But because he didn't, I'm like, maybe it was just like, it's fine, just leave it be. So anyway, that's my thought. You know, if there's a 30-second version where she starts crying and he keeps harassing her, then we got another story. But
definitely. But
from what we saw, you could tell it was supposed to be in fun.
I mean, I've seen things like that happen at conventions.
Yeah. And did you see the video that I'm talking about where like the Reverse Flash came up and he was like, oh no, not you, and he started like pretending to punch him and stuff, like being silly.
Vaguely.
We know he's a goofball, like, and he's
a touchy person too.
Yeah. All right, next message is from Joseph Stewart. It says, hey, Holy BatCast family, hope you're doing well and staying safe. In honor of Frank Gorshin's birthday this week, what is your favorite Frank Gorshin Riddler episode of Batman 66? Joseph, thanks for the message, and happy birthday, Frank Gorshin, the one and true Riddler. Brendan, do you have a favorite Riddler episode of Batman 66?
Oh, look, not off the top of my head.
I know. Like, I don't know those the way I know, like, Batman the Animated Series, so...
Honestly, for me, it's... Whenever I think Frank Gorshin is the Riddler, it's the movie. Like, I jump to the movie straight away because I can recite it line for line, pretty much. Like, yeah, I think because, too, the availability of the 66 show for us growing up, and it's only become available in the last 5-6 years. And there's a lot of episodes. The repeat viewings and stuff haven't happened for them to really, sink into my mind. So I'd need to read the episode synopses and remember which ones I have seen, which I haven't seen, and give them all a look to give you an exact answer. But at the moment, all I can really say is the movie.
Right. Brett, thoughts?
Yeah, I haven't really got much into the 66 show, so don't really recall. I mean, I've seen a lot of the episodes, but cannot think of one off the top of my head.
Okay, that's all right. Yeah, it's, again, like, there's a lot. My answer is a cheat is just the pilot.
The pilot, yeah.
Yeah, High Diddle Riddle or whatever it is. Yeah, just because it's the very first.
Jules and John in it.
Yeah, it's the very first one, and it's classic, and it's iconic, and it kicked off the show, and he is a legend, not only because he was so good as the Riddler, but he got to be the first Batman villain on that show. So I will go with that. But yeah, if I, as I make my way through the show, maybe one will come up and I'm like, oh, I forgot about that one. But I could just watch Frank Gorshin as the Riddler all day, so it's all good. All right, next message here. I think we only have like 2 more, so hang in there, guys. This one is from Rob Orff. It says, hey, Andy, Brendan, and Jamie. Thank you so much for continuing to put out such an awesome podcast. It brings so much joy to my week, and it helps me feel like I'm staying connected during this time of social distancing. Also, shout out to Brendan's Nightlight. It is also fantastic. Yay, Brendan.
Thank you.
Yeah, look at that. He said, I've been thinking about Jamie, and I wanted to write in. I can fully understand that Jamie has important things to attend to during this challenging time, which certainly should take priority over podcasting. At the same time, I couldn't help but notice the sabbatical started around the same time some Twitter users unjustly and harshly criticized Jamie. Anyone who's listened to the podcast for any length of time knows that Jamie is a torchbearer for social justice and equal rights for all. Jamie's daughters are lucky to have such an open-minded and open-hearted father. Jamie's son is equally lucky to have such a model for how to be a kind-hearted man and how they treat people who are different than him. Jamie, I'm sorry you were treated that way. You did not deserve it. My question for Andy and Brendan, what are your favorite memories of Jamie or funny stories you'd like to share? We're talking about like he's dead. The man's not dead. He's fine. I talked to him yesterday. He's good. Says, I hope the day will come soon when Andy, Brendan, and Jamie will be reunited, just as like when Nightwing reunited with Batman, Batgirl, and Robin in Batman the Animated Series. Wishing every single person in the Holy BatCast family, podcasters and listeners alike, the best during this time. Please do your best to take care of yourselves and each other one day at a time. As Batman said, I have one power, I never give up. Take care, Rob. Rob, thank you so much for the message. Just know that I did send this to Jamie specifically, and I was like, oh, I think you should read this, And he was very touched. He really appreciated it as well. He assures me that the Birds of Prey thing has nothing to do with him taking a break from podcasting. It is literally him dealing with family things during this very crazy time, and I completely get it. So he's good. He's still dealing with his stuff, and when he's ready, he'll come back. But in the meantime, Brendan, we're going to have a funeral for Jamie.
I do like our private back and forward we have, like, because he's got a massive fear of spiders. And I kind of play on that a bit. Like, I share a lot of stuff. I haven't done it for ages, actually, but like I share a lot of stuff to his wall, or even Jeremy will get in on that, and anything to do with arachnids, Jamie will either get tagged or shared on his wall, or we'll send it in our group chat or something. And his reaction is always, it's always worth it. And I also do like hearing, R-rated Jamie in our private conversations and stuff as well. Where we don't need to worry about what we say. It's always a bit of a laugh. And actually, his lovely wife Kimbra added me on Facebook not too long ago, so there's been a little banter with her and I as well, and he's chimed in. So he's a funny dude. I love the guy.
Nice. I mean, if I'm going to pick a memory, it's the first time we met in person when we saw Man of Steel in Chicago. Like, because that was like, internet friends become real friends. And we had such a good time watching that movie, and then we went out for burgers after, and he ate a 4-patty burger, a quadruple burger, and
Of course he did.
he was my hero. I was like, that's amazing. I'm so jealous. So no, and like little did I know like that he would become one of my very best friends and just part of my extended family. So no, he's awesome. Nothing but love. And yes, of course we all miss him, but like I said, I check in on him. He's doing all right. So we love you, Jamie, and we'll be happy when you're ready to come back. All right, this message is from Tommy Sanders. It says, "Hey, Bat Family, did the original ending of Batman Returns have Gordon and the mayor talking about misjudging Batman and Bruce telling Alfred that he couldn't find Catwoman and then the bat signal flashing on and off in the night sky? I remember that happened in the novelization and in the comic book adaptation." Tommy, thank you for the message. Oh, we're doing all the alternate Burton films tonight. Or no, wait, the other one was Schumacher. Never mind. The alternate original quadrilogy films. So I never read the novelization for any of these. Actually, I read the novelization for Batman 89, but never Returns or Forever or Batman and Robin, if there was one.
There was.
I'm sure there was. I mean, that was a big deal. I did have the comic book adaptation, and I don't remember...
No, me either.
This scene, I don't remember Gordon and the mayor talking about misjudging Batman. Like, that doesn't sound familiar to me. And then Bruce telling Alfred he couldn't find Catwoman. I feel like in the comic adaptation, it was essentially what we saw in the movie. Of course, it looked a little different, but I would have to look it up to see if that's the case, because I don't remember it.
If I was inside like I normally am when I'm outside again too, by the way. If I was inside in the bedroom,
I know we can hear the crow. We can hear the crows again.
I'd be able to reach for my shelf, but I'm not near it to double check it. So yeah, I can't remember. I honestly, and again, I haven't read the novelization for that. I think maybe since '93 or '94. Mm-hmm. So it's been a long time. It's sort of to the point with those books. Like I have them on my shelf, but I don't know if I'll ever reread them just because I'm so familiar with the movie.
Mm-hmm, right. Yeah, I will say I do think that a scene where Gordon and the mayor acknowledge that Batman was framed would have been good. That should have been in there. I do feel like that's a missing beat in the movie. And I do know that the final shot of Batman Returns with Catwoman looking at the bat signal was a last minute ad.
Cost them quite a bit of money too.
Yeah, because it's not even Michelle Pfeiffer. And they even, and you can see it in the extras on the Blu-ray, but they even built a puppet head of Catwoman because they couldn't get Michelle Pfeiffer back. So there's a version of it that's using like a fake head looking at the bat signal, but it looked too fake. And so then I think they just got a body double to do it. So yeah, and that last shot was a last minute ad. So maybe you're right. Maybe originally it was, I can't remember, like it's been a while since I've watched it, but they do explain it. I think they did say, originally, it was just the bat signal, and test audiences were like, well, what about Catwoman? Did she make it? And then they decided to add it to confirm, yes, she's still out there. All right, we have one last one from Marcio. It says, "Hey, Holy BatCast family. I've been catching up on shows and films in this new time due to you-know-what, and I just finished listening to the Crisis episode. You mentioned that the Wonder Twins and their Justice League, a Super Friends crossover, might be something that they would do. Do you think they'll have another go at the Legion of Doom now that they have a great Lex Luthor? What would your Legion of Doom lineup be, dead or alive, as this could have changed everything? For me, it would be Lex Luthor, Reverse Flash, Captain Cold, Gorilla Grodd, Livewire, Bizarro Supergirl, Damian Dark, and Vandal Savage. Also, I managed to watch Birds of Prey, and I was gutted that I couldn't see it at the cinema. I haven't caught up on your review episode yet, but I wanted to say that the amusement park scene was great. I'll save my question for when I listen to your episode in case you've already commented on it. Keep up the great work, Marcio Juarez, a Peruvian in England." Thanks, Marcio, and always good to hear from you. So, the Legion of Doom for the CW universe. Who would it be? Brendan?
As soon as I knew where this was going, I started thinking.
I know, it's when you gotta think about it.
Yeah, Lex Luthor definitely. Dark Archer, Deathstroke, Reverse Flash, Just trying to think who have been the big bads for,
I know.
all these. I'm trying to think of a Supergirl one, but I mean, I guess Lex Luthor covers that. I think I need a little bit more time to think about it, but they're definitely my top choices, the ones I've just given.
Okay.
Yeah, keep talking. I might think of others while you guys are talking, or you might suggest someone that I've forgotten about.
Okay. Hey, Brett, any thoughts on this?
For me, obviously, definitely Lex Luthor, Deathstroke. Obviously, I mean, those were probably the big two. I don't really know too much else of other villains or other people that could be in the Legion of Doom. I'm just not sure on that one.
Yeah, this takes some thinking. Marcio, I like your lineup. Can I just steal yours? Lex Luthor.
Actually, Captain Cold's probably in there as well.
Yeah, I would love to have Captain Cold in there. I know he became a little more heroic at the end, but I love him. So yeah, Lex Luthor, Reverse Flash, Captain Cold for sure. Yeah, I feel like you need. Like, I'm trying to think of some good female villains that we've had.
That's what I'm trying to think.
In the Arrowverse that like would fit in there, and none are springing to mind. I guess Livewire is pretty good.
Supergirl have had some good ones, but it's just trying to get them to fit in there.
There was a Silver Banshee, wasn't there?
There was.
I'd throw a Silver Banshee in there. Damien Dark for sure, because I liked him a lot.
I think she was Robbie Amell's wife too, Silver Banshee, if my memory serves.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah, we just need more. We need more lady villains to put in here. So yeah, Livewire and Silver Banshee, just because I can't think of anyone else. And the fairy godmother from Legends of Tomorrow. Because F it.
I'm just let me double check here. I'm just trying to remember. What was the Supergirl villain that was? She had the daughter.
Oh, you're right. She was. Yeah, she would have been good.
She's good, but again, she was a good person being possessed.
Right.
That's why I didn't include her. But when she's the villain, she was really good. She's probably been my favorite Supergirl big bad.
Yeah, I know I can picture her, but I can't remember the name of the villain.
Bloody name. Was it season 3? Maybe.
It wasn't like Rain, was it?
Rain. It was Rain.
Was it Rain?
Yes.
Okay, Rain.
Because I would definitely include her. She was good.
She was really good. All right, well, there you go. There's some answers. I don't know if we fully narrowed it down, but there's some answers. But yeah, like it hurts me to not be able to include like a cheetah, to not include a Black Manta. Like the villains from the other universes that didn't make it to the Arrowverse. Like I want to include some of them. I'd include Magpie from Batwoman too, because I'm the world's only Magpie fan.
Yes, you are.
I'm starting a Magpie podcast. I will be recording it alone, and I will be the only one listening to it. But yes.
I mean, could you include Alice?
Yeah, but I just feel like putting her with all of those super villains.
Yeah, because she's such a wild card. Like,
yeah,
I think she works better alone.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is it for the Wayne Manor Mailbox. Good job, gentlemen. If you guys have a message for the Wayne Manor Mailbox, you can send that to Holy BatCast at rf4rm.com. We always love hearing from you guys. So, yeah, send those thoughts and questions our way, and we will get to them next time. Anyway, that's where we're going to wrap up this episode of Holy BatCast. Brett, thank you for joining us, and congrats on your first episode of Holy BatCast.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It was a blast to do this, and hopefully you can do it more.
Awesome. Are you on Twitter or anything? Anywhere that our listeners can find you?
I mean, I am on Twitter at bfried1987, but I haven't used Twitter in like almost a year, so I'm not on there very often.
Okay, well, so give him a follow. Maybe he'll see it. Maybe he won't. I don't know. But anyway, it was great having you. Thank you again for joining us. Brendan, thank you as well on your Easter Sunday for talking a little bit of Batman.
That's okay. You know, any day is a good day to talk some Batman, so I'm always up for it.
Sweet. Tell our friends where they can find you if they haven't figured it out already.
If you don't know already, you can find me on Twitter at Loey007. You can also find my podcast, The Nightlight, on Twitter at NightlightPod, or at thenightlight.podbean.com.
Sweet. And you can follow me on Twitter or oh wait, I already told you at the beginning. Never mind. Old habits.
No
anyway,
one cares.
No one cares. It's fine. Okay, that's it. Thank you guys for joining us as always. Thank you for downloading the show. Please do subscribe so you never miss an episode. Please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. And most importantly, as Michael Keaton's Batman says, I want you to tell all your friends about me. Visit holybatcast.com. Follow Holy BatCast on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and on YouTube. And again, if you've got anything for the Wayne Manor mailbox, you can send that to holybatcast@rf4rm.com. But that'll do it. On behalf of Brendan and Brett, I've been Andy. We will see you next time. Same bat time, same bat channel, and please have a very happy and safe Easter.
Holy BatCast is brought to you by real fans for real movies. Remember, the thoughts and opinions shared by the participants are theirs and theirs alone, and do not represent the companies or organizations they happen to work for.
It was easy. Too easy. I had become so powerful, no prey could challenge me. To one who lives for the thrill of the hunt, this was a tragedy. My life was over until I heard that the legendary Batman had returned.
Batman?
I'd always imagined this Batman to be an ageless soul, inhabiting the greatest warrior of each generation. If this Bat spirit really existed, it would present the ultimate challenge.
You wanna fight, Dreg? Let's go!